Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now. Welcome back to Red Dust Report. Before we get into today's topic, we have an exciting announcement for longtime followers of this channel. We are expanding. Starting this week, we will have a dedicated sports columnist joining the Red Dust Report family, bringing you deeper analysis, more consistent coverage, and a whole new voice in the conversation. More details on that very soon. But right now, we have business to attend to because today we are kicking off a new series breaking down the National League West position by position, and we are starting right behind home plate. 5 teams, 5 catches, and a gap in talent between number 1 and number 5 so wide you could drive a truck through it. Let us get into it. First, a little context on the division itself heading into the 2026 season. The NL West is simultaneously one of the most star-studded divisions in baseball and one of the most top-heavy. The Los Angeles Dodgers have won 12 of the last 13 NL West titles, and most projections see them doing it again, and easily. PECOTA has the Dodgers at 105 wins. The Giants and Padres both project around 81-81. The Diamondbacks are projected at 79-83. And then there are the Colorado Rockies, who are projected to go 61-101 and might genuinely be the worst team in baseball right now. So yes, we are talking about a division with one absolute juggernaut and 4 teams fighting over scraps. With that backdrop in mind, let us look at the catchers and figure out who is helping their team win games and who is just keeping the seat warm. Starting at the top, and it is not particularly close, Will Smith of the Los Angeles Dodgers is the best catcher in the NL West and one of the 2 or 3 best catchers in all of baseball. He just turned 31 on March 28th, and you would be hard-pressed to find a single thing wrong with his game at this stage of his career. His 2025 season was a revelation. He hit .296 with an OPS of .901, career highs for a full season, slugged 17 home runs, drove in 61 runs, and posted a 153 WRC+ that placed him among the most productive offensive catchers in the game. He earned his 3rd consecutive All-Star selection. His manager, Dave Roberts, called him the best catcher in baseball flat out, noting his ability to get big hits, his arm, his handling of the pitching staff, his ability to hit from both sides, and above all, his consistency, saying he had performed at a high level for 4 or 5 years straight, and that was just not something you could say about many players at any position. He was right. Smith has now posted 3 or more wins above replacement in 5 consecutive seasons. The list of position players who can say the same includes names like Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto, and Corey Seager. You read that correctly. Will Smith belongs in that company based on sustained production, and he is a catcher. His postseason heroics only add to the legend. Smith caught all 73 innings of the 2025 World Series, including an 18-inning Game 3 and an 11-inning Game 7, and delivered the go-ahead home run in the bottom of the 11th inning of Game 7 to win the championship. Freddie Freeman called him a silent assassin, the quietest star in a lineup full of household names, the guy who never gets the credit but always delivers when the moment demands it. And he is under contract through 2033 at just $14 million per season. $14 million a year for a player of this caliber is highway robbery. If you built a catcher from scratch, plate discipline, contact power, durability, leadership, postseason performance, you would get something close to Will Smith. He is the clear-cut number 1 in this division, and it is not a conversation worth having for very long. The only legitimate debate to be had around Smith's ranking in the broader game is whether Cal Raleigh of the Seattle Mariners deserves the top spot. Raleigh put up one of the most absurd offensive seasons by a catcher in the history of the position in 2025, 60 home runs, 125 RBIs, a 7.4 WAR, while logging over 1,000 innings behind the plate. It is a case that can and should be made. But even then, when you factor in the total package, the postseason performance, the contract value, the durability, the handling of a rotation that won back-to-back World Series, Smith is right there in the discussion, and he is comfortably the best catcher in the NL West. Moving to number 2, and this is where the gap starts opening up immediately. The San Francisco Giants' Patrick Bailey is a fascinating player, maybe the most fascinating catcher in the division, because he is simultaneously one of the best and worst catchers in baseball, depending entirely on which half of the scouting report you are reading. Start with the defense, and you are looking at an argument for the best defensive catcher in all of baseball. Bailey won his 2nd consecutive Gold Glove Award in 2025, becoming the first NL catcher to win it in back-to-back seasons since Yadier Molina completed his historic run from 2008 through 2015. He led the majors in catcher framing runs with plus 25. His defensive runs saved of plus 19 led all catchers in baseball. His pop time to second base at 1.86 seconds was tied for the fastest in the game. His caught stealing above average was in the 97th percentile. His framing graded in the 100th percentile, meaning no catcher in baseball was better at controlling the zone and turning borderline pitches into strikes. He and pitcher Logan Webb became the first battery to each win a Gold Glove in the same season since 2013. For a Giants team whose identity is built around pitching depth and run prevention, Patrick Bailey is arguably the perfect catcher. Then you look at the offense, and the story changes entirely. He hit .22 in 2025 with a 277 on-base percentage, a 325 slugging percentage, 6 home runs, and a 73 OPS plus. That is 27% below league average production with the bat. His batting run value was minus 19, placing him in the first percentile among all hitters in baseball. His OPS has declined in each of his 3 major league seasons, from 644 in 2023 to 637 in 2024 to 602 in 2025. The offensive trajectory is heading in the wrong direction, and the Giants have been patient because his defensive value genuinely covers for it. 4 wins above replacement in 2025 despite that bat, because the defensive contribution is so enormous. But questions are mounting. The Giants drafted Bailey as the heir to Buster Posey, who hit .302 for his career with 158 home runs and 7 All-Star selections. So far, the defensive pedigree is there. The offensive pedigree is not, and as Bailey heads into 2026, his most pressing challenge is proving that the bat can at least reach average. The one interesting wildcard is the arrival of the ABS challenge system in 2026, baseball's new automated ball strike challenge rule allowing batters, pitchers, and catchers to challenge pitch calls by tapping their cap. Bailey has already been working the system in spring training and has been right on 5 of 7 challenges in Cactus League play. Great pitch framers like Bailey are not made obsolete by this system. If anything, they adapt and find new ways to exploit it, and early indications are that Bailey will do exactly that. Number 3 takes us to San Diego, where the Padres have spent the last several years running through catchers the way most teams run through middle relievers. After years of failed experiments with Elias Diaz, Martin Maldonado, and a Luis Campusano project that never quite got off the ground, the organization finally pulled the trigger at the 2025 trade deadline and acquired Freddie Fermin from the Kansas City Royals, giving up 2 young starting pitchers, Ryan Burgett and Stephen Kolek, to make it happen. Fermin is now the Padres' everyday catcher for 2026, and the good news is that he is a genuine defensive stabilizer and a perfectly functional major league player. The less exciting news is that his offensive numbers have declined each year, going from a 781 OPS in his best Kansas City season to 636 across 109 games in 2025. He hit .251, walked just 19 times in 347 plate appearances, and managed 5 home runs. That is bottom third offensive production for a starting catcher. He is under contract at just $2.1 million in 2026, which at least reflects his ceiling appropriately, and his defensive catching runs of plus 14 since his 2022 debut show. He is a genuine asset behind the plate. The Padres have a loaded lineup with Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, and Jackson Merrill, so the catching position does not need to carry the offense. Fermin's job is to not hurt them, to throw runners out, to frame well, and to manage a talented rotation. On that basis, he is good enough. But if you are ranking the starting catchers in this division purely on total value, Fermin sits third, a capable starter who helps at the margins rather than a difference maker. The long-term plan in San Diego involves top catching prospect Ethan Salas, a highly regarded young catcher who could take over as the primary starter as early as 2027 or 2028. Until that transition happens, Fermin holds the fort, and on a team with playoff aspirations, that arrangement is only sustainable if the defense stays sharp and the offense does not regress further. Fourth belongs to the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the honest answer here is that we are in genuine uncertainty territory. The Diamondbacks' catcher situation centers on Gabriel Moreno, who by all accounts has performed like an absolute star when healthy, putting up impressive numbers in each of the last 2 seasons. The problem is the word "when healthy," because Moreno has been limited to under 100 games in back-to-back years by injuries that have prevented him from building on a truly promising start to his career. When he plays, he is the kind of catcher who does everything. hits for average, shows some pop, handles a pitching staff well, and brings legitimate upside. The projections view him as a potential top 5 catcher in baseball if he stays on the field. The challenge for Arizona is that the entire catching situation remains dependent on a player who has not proven he can get through a full season without landing on the injured list. Behind Moreno, Braxton Fulford figures to serve as the backup, having come up through the Arizona system and appeared on the big league roster last year, though his 2025 debut was a rough one offensively, posting a 49 WRC+ in limited action. Fulford was also described by some evaluators as a weak defender, so the backup situation behind Moreno is not exactly confidence-inspiring. For the Diamondbacks, 2026 at catcher is a bet on Moreno's health. If it comes through, they jump up the rankings quickly. If it doesn't, this position could become a real problem for a team trying to stay competitive in a tough division. And then there are the Colorado Rockies, who bring up the rear in this division-wide catcher breakdown, and frankly, doing so is going to require us to make a significant pivot in tone, because even calling it a ranking implies competition, and what Coors Field is fielding at catcher in 2026 is more of a project than a position battle. The interesting story in Colorado is Hunter Goodman, who had a genuinely exciting breakout season in 2025, launching 31 home runs and driving in 91 runs while hitting .278 across 144 games. Those are real numbers. At 26 years old, playing half his games at Coors Field, Goodman has legitimate power and plenty of bat speed. Scouts who watch him describe a player who hits the ball hard and hits it far. He put up 3.4 WAR last season and became a name worth knowing in the National League. The catches are real, though. He strikes out more than a quarter of the time. He essentially does not walk. His defense behind the plate is a work in progress, and he has real trouble controlling the running game. The projections expect some offensive regression given how much his baby P inflated his 2025 numbers. Still, among the wreckage of a Rockies roster that may lose over 100 games this season, Goodman is the one bright spot at this position. A young player with legitimate offensive tools who could develop into a real asset if the organization around him ever figures out how to build a competitive team. Behind him, Braxton Fulford is the name in waiting, a former top prospect who had a difficult major league debut and is trying to re-establish himself. There is not much else to work with on the depth chart. So to summarize where we stand, Will Smith in Los Angeles is the best catcher in the division and a legitimate argument for the best in baseball. Patrick Bailey in San Francisco is a defensive marvel with an offense that needs to wake up. Freddie Fermin in San Diego is a perfectly serviceable starting catcher who will not hurt or help the Padres much. Gabriel Moreno in Arizona has the talent to jump anyone on this list, but needs to stay healthy to prove it. And Hunter Goodman in Colorado is the lone highlight on a roster that does not have many of them. The NL West catching race, like so many things in this division, starts and ends with Los Angeles. The gap between number 1 and the rest of the field is as wide as the Pacific Ocean, and it shows no signs of closing. That is the NL West catches. Next time in this series, we move on to the next position group, and we promise it is going to be just as revealing. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and leave a comment. Tell us whether you think Will Smith is being properly appreciated as one of the best catchers in the game, or whether he is still flying under the radar. And if you haven't subscribed to Red Dust Report yet, do it now. New content is dropping every week, the series is just getting started, and you do not want to miss a single installment. We'll see you next time.